My name is Kelly Kraft. I founded Morning Star Seed Company shortly after 2021. My story goes back further than that. I graduated from NDSU in agronomy in 1995. For a short time, I was an agronomist, met my husband, had 3 children, then I homeschooled for 20 plus years. So most of my education has been garnered from homeschooling. During that process, I really fell in love with the Middle Ages. It was undocumented, the color, the churches, the beautiful cathedrals. It filled my imagination. I stumbled upon Mary Gardens by bringing in a God-given talent that I had for art and my love for the Middle Ages. I curated everything so it's just easy where you can just pick it up and buy it and go rather than Googling it and really making an effort to put a Mary Garden in. All my seeds are grown in my yard. I hand pick them, I hand clean them. A lot of times my neighbor kids will come over, so a lot of kids are the ones that are doing most of the work. My husband did make a zigzag aspirator. What happens, you drop the seeds in with all the chaff and whatnot, and we have a shop vac on the other side with the suction. So as the seeds fall down and the chaff beats off, the heavy seed falls down, and that shop vac can suck out the heavy, or the chaff. We run that through a couple times, and believe it or not, the seed comes out very, very clean on the other side. But essentially, Mary Gardens were gardens that were developed during the Middle Ages to teach the faith amongst people who were unlettered and they couldn't read scriptures. But it didn't come out of nowhere. Where it came from is when Pope Gregory the Great sent Augustine and 40 monks up to Europe to evangelize the Angles. There was a lot of deities that were worshipped, and because they had a deep devotion to their goddesses and the flowers and the ceremonies, they wisely put Mary into that place. So she consecrated that. And then slowly, within 100 years, it's actually quite miraculous, within 100 years, they were able to bring Europe into to be a Christian land. Oh gosh, there's so many to choose from. I'm going to choose Forget Me Not. This one I think is a very charming story for children. The story for the Forget Me Not is they're little blue flowers. The legend is that Jesus was sitting on Mary's lap one day. He's like, "Oh Mom, your eyes are so beautiful. I wish people could remember for all generations how beautiful your eyes are." And then he took his hands out and he sprinkled blue flowers on the ground, thus rendering this flower Forget Me Not, so no one would ever forget the color of her eyes. Vervain is one of my favorites. I love the color purple. It is a native plant to Minnesota in the Plains area. It's a pollinator source. It has a beautiful story, and it's deeply rooted in a lot of mythologies, whether it's Roman or Greek. It has medicinal qualities for staunching the bleed, and the story is that it was stuck in Christ's side to staunch the bleed when his side was pierced. And I drew an image on there of the chalice to catch the blood. So I do try to make it a little living story that a person could explore. It's not random, everything is purposeful. Some of my favorite seeds, I like them all, but with the paintings I tried to bring in the cultural elements where it could. So Nicotiana is a flower that's a sacred tobacco for some of the natives. And I was at a trade show and this beautiful Lakota woman came up and she spotted this seed right away. And she noticed right away that I had placed the sacred turtle in the Lakota, and I had the eagle feathers, and I did a Kateri poem to go with this. So that's one of my favorites. She was deeply moved that we were able to integrate the church and their traditions together. Okay, verbena. It is in the same family as vervain. What I like about this one is that the head is about the size of a marshmallow, and if a person is a photographer, the butterfly, the swallowtail of the monarch, tends to be bigger than the flower head, and it just makes an amazing photograph. So I think if you're a photographer who likes to photograph nature, this makes a good photo. If you don't garden or don't have a green thumb but you want to marry one, I would say if you want something easy, Zinnia. Everyone loves a zinnia. If you have a little, that could even go in a little pot or a raised bed, and you can get the color in, and you would feel, I think a person feels good when they start seeing the insects start coming in. Your kids become engaged with it, and puts them in touch. And then you can talk about, well, this is the virgin flower, and then it gives you a prompt to start talking about the virgin. The poppy is an easy one. The Marian title is Christ's blood. The legend is that when he bled, the blood, wherever he bled on the cross, these red poppies would grow. So this gives you an opportunity to talk about Easter and Christ's blood. So all these are learning devices where a parent or a teacher really can take it in any direction that they want. This is a liturgical floral calendar that my sister and graphic artist put our brains together and designed. And it is designed to be not a field guide per se, but to show how people in the Middle Ages read nature by the flowers that were blooming. And so we combined the church's liturgical colors along with the solstices and the months and how it's read. Say right now we're in Easter, and the flowers that you would typically see in spring are the bulbs. And as we move into summer, we turn it, and we get into the more of the ordinary time flowers, the flowers that we see pretty much in the spring and the summer. So we have the sunflower, and we have the zinnia, and the Maltese cross. And then as we move into to the fall, we know from autumn, we're moving into more of the fall time plants that you're going to see. And in Minnesota, you're not going to see much in October and November. And October is the month of Mary, so I just put roses there. And as we move into winter, we get into the Christmas season, and we see a lot of the Christmas flowers. And it's interesting, if you go into Home Depot, the flowers that are marketed are still the flowers that were used in our church's calendar. So in a way, whether Home Depot realizes it or not, they're using church flowers to represent the season. I curated a bundle called the Feast Days of the Saints. Some of the flowers that are found on the liturgical calendar in here that you can grow, so you can follow along with the liturgical calendar and the seasonal calendar. We have the Ageratum, St. John's flower, and we have the Michaelmas daisy, the Oxeye daisy for St. Luke. We have Evening Primrose for St. Mark. And inside the Feast Day bundle, I have a little reference card, so you can follow these flowers along as they grow in your garden, so you're not forced to remember these. Why should Catholics consider having Mary gardens today? We are a society by and large that's indoors. We're disconnected from our faith. We're disconnected from creation. Mary gardens can connect us back to our faith, reconnect us with our old Christian narrative and our Christian roots. I like to say it's the original grassroots movement that we could have for today.